When I observe the gardens of human life, I see something that troubles the quiet river of my spirit. I see those who have weathered many seasons, whose leaves hold the stories of sun and storm. Yet, so many sit in the late autumn of their lives, as if winter has already claimed them. They breathe, but the breath does not flow. They are present, but they are not alive. This is not the unavoidable way of nature. It is a path chosen, one step at a time, through patterns that poison the wellspring of the soul. There are 9 great shadows that, if allowed to grow, ensure the harvest of our years will be one of sorrow. The 9th reveals the deepest root of all. The first shadow is the poison of a bitter heart. In my tradition, we speak of the heart as a cup. Some, in their later years, allow this cup to become a vessel for old pains, for hurts left to curdle, for memories they feed like a hungry ghost. They tell the story of a wrong from a lifetime ago, of a path not taken, of a debt unpaid. This story becomes their breath, their energy, their reason for the sun to rise. But this poison corrodes the vessel that holds it. Each day you choose to visit that old wound. You choose the chains of what was. You become a servant to ghosts. I have watched this poison steal more hearts than any illness of the body. The body ages, this is the way, but it is the spirit that can die first. Choked by the weight of a past it will not release. To hold this bitterness is not to punish another. It is to drink poison yourself, each day. The practice is not to pretend the storm never happened. It is to understand that forgiveness is not for the storm. It is for you. It is the act of setting down a heavy stone so that you may walk on, free. The second shadow is the building of a silent fortress. It is the slow retreat into the self. I see people pull away from the village of life, brick by brick, telling themselves this is strength, when it is the beginning of a long winter. They say they need no one, that human connection is a tangled vine, that it is simpler to be a solitary mountain. This retreat is a quiet tide. It begins with a single step back, an invitation declined, a conversation avoided, a door unopened. Each step seems small, yet together they build a wall so high that it blocks not only the winds of trouble, but the warmth of the sun, the light of love, the very river of life that flows between beings. I have seen souls sit alone in rooms filled with the echoes of laughter, surrounded by pictures of feasts they no longer attend. They slowly fade from the world before the body gives way. This fortress is often built of pride, disguised as freedom. To be a burden is the fear, but the true fear is to be seen, to be open, to admit that the need to belong is a river that runs through us at every age. Humans are not mountains. We are trees in a forest. We need the soil of community to stand tall. The ones who ripen beautifully understand this. They remain rooted in the lives of others. They know that to give and receive from the heart is not a choice. It is like breathing. It is essential. The third shadow is to allow the mind to become a stagnant pond. I meet elders who, upon leaving the field of their life's work, cease to plant new seeds in the garden of their mind. Their days are spent watching shadows on a wall, and they wonder at the feeling of emptiness, the fog that clouds their inner landscape. The mind is a river. When it stops flowing, it becomes still and clouded. When you cease to welcome new streams of thought, new currents of challenge, it begins to turn inward on itself, endlessly circling the same old rocks, the same old patterns. You become hard, like sun-baked earth, unable to receive the rain of new possibility. I have seen bright flames dim to embers because they believed the time for learning had passed. They mistook the wisdom of age for a finished scroll, and slowly their world became very small, a room of their own making. The most alive elders I know have remained students of the great mystery until their final breath. They welcome new streams of thought. They sit with questions that stretch their container. They are willing to have their map of the world redrawn. They understand that growth is not a quality of youth. It is a quality of life. When your mind flows, you keep your sense of wonder. You remain a spring of wisdom for the world, not because you chase what is gone, but because you are fully present with what is. The fourth shadow is to surrender the body to the river of time without grace. I see many treat their body like a tired animal, accepting aches, weakness, and decay as the only path forward. They cease to move, they stop tending to their physical vessel, and then feel trapped within their own flesh. Your body is not your enemy. It is the earth upon which you walk, the temple that houses your spirit for this journey. It has carried you through 1,000 storms. It asks only for care in return, not surrender. To abandon the body is to abandon the ability to walk fully in this world. Much of what is called the decay of age is not the will of nature, but the result of the path we have walked, a path of stillness, not of movement. I have seen those with 80 seasons in their heart who move with more lightness than those with 50. The difference is not in the stars under which they were born, it is in the small choices of each sunrise. They chose to honor the river of movement when stillness called. They chose to care for their temple. Vitality in the later seasons is not about winning a race against the young self. It is about maintaining the simple grace of living in a body that moves in harmony with the spirit, allowing you to walk your path, to serve, and to feel the joy of being embodied. The fifth shadow is to believe that the end of your work is the end of your purpose. I witness so many who spend seasons gathering wood, the wood of skill, wisdom, and experience, only to lay it down and not build a fire when they reach an age set by others. They tell themselves they have earned the right to offer nothing, but the human spirit is not made for emptiness. We are beings that seek the sun, that need to feel our roots run deep into something greater than our own comfort. When you abandon purpose, you sever the root that feeds the soul. I have seen strong trees wither within moons of leaving their post, because there was no longer a reason for their branches to reach for the sky. They thought they sought freedom from the forest, but what they found was freedom from meaning. The elders who flourish know their purpose transforms, like a river changing its course, but it never vanishes. They find new earth to nurture. They offer shade to the young. They enrich the soil of their community. They become a source of warmth for those around them. Purpose is not found in a title. It is chosen through the conscious act of staying open to life, of continuing to grow, and of offering the unique light that you carry, regardless of the season. The sixth shadow is to face the great twilight without an inner lamp. As the body softens and the pleasures of the outer world fade, as fellow travelers complete their journeys, as the truth of your own impermanence stands before you like a great mountain, you require something deeper than memory to find your way. I have sat with many who spent their lives gathering stones, the stones of achievement, of wealth, of stories, only to find in their final season that these stones offer no warmth against the coming night. The great questions arise. Who am I without my story? What is the ocean to which this river of my life has been flowing? How does one meet the end of the path without fear? Without an inner spiritual wellspring, these questions become a source of great wind and storm. Those who have not tended their inner garden become consumed with fear. But those who have cultivated their inner silence, whether through quiet contemplation or a walk with the divine, approach their final years with a sense of peace. They understand they are a wave returning to the ocean, that death is not an ending, but a returning. Spiritual life is not about collecting answers. It is about growing a spirit strong enough to live peacefully with the great questions. The seventh shadow is to arrive at the driest season with a leaking vessel. Financial carelessness in your years of flowing water will leave you with a thirst in your years of quiet sun. I have seen people who earned a strong river of income find themselves with an empty well in their later seasons, for they never learned to tend to the source, to store for the future. Financial peace in the winter of life is not about being a king. It is about having enough water in your own well to maintain your grace and your freedom. It is about not being a vine that must cling to others, not having to choose between healing herbs and daily bread. The tragedy is that this practice is simple, but it demands a quiet mind, the wisdom to live with enough, and the foresight to know that the seasons change. Our world screams for more, for now, for instant rivers. And so many listen, only to find their wellspring dry when the rains cease. The unease of this thirst touches all parts of life: your body, your heart, your peace. The elders who walk with a light step almost always share one thing: they learned early to draw only what they needed, allowing the well to remain full. They understood that while the water itself is not the source of joy, a full well is essential for a quiet mind. The eighth shadow is to see the great river's end as an enemy to be fought, rather than a final, natural homecoming to be met with wisdom. The world around us teaches us to turn our backs on this final transformation, to fight the current, to view the acknowledgement of it as giving up. But this struggle creates the very turmoil it seeks to avoid. I have sat with many at the river's delta, and I can tell you that the greatest struggle is not in the body's letting go, but in the spirit's resistance. They spend a lifetime running from the thought of the sea, so when its scent is on the wind, they are met with terror, with regret, with a desperate plea for the river to flow backwards. But the ninth and most profound shadow, the path that guarantees a barren final season, is to refuse to see aging as anything other than loss. It is the belief that you are becoming less, when in fact the invitation is to become more truly yourself than ever before. This season is the culmination of all that you have known, all you have become. It is the moment to embody the deepest truth of your own heart. When you fight this sacred becoming, when you grasp for the memory of the blossom instead of embracing the wisdom of the fruit, when you see the lines on your face as failure instead of a map of your soul's journey, you miss the beauty and power that comes only from a life fully lived. The elders who are truly mountains are not those who pretend to be hills. They are those who wear their snow-capped peaks as a crown, who have spun their storms into wisdom, their scars into strength, their years into a depth of spirit that only time can carve.